Okay, so now that we have a jack texture, we're just going to take care of a few areas here. Rename the shoes into shoes. Assign a surface, name it shoes, and I put almost black surface to it, color to it. And the same thing with our cat here. Right now it's just default, and we want to name those surfaces accordingly. Cat eyes. And just go through these surfaces and go through these different parts of Jack, and you know, name the surfaces. And if something a bit more sensical. So the button should be button, and the same thing goes with Jack's body. Naming the body into body, the head into head. Left hand, right hand. And get this to be tails back. And I'm gonna name this tombstone number 1 and tombstone number 2. Now some polygons are flipped. You know, we see this when we go out of double-sided. So you can just align them if there are some polygons facing in the other, in the other direction. And I'm going to rename this into ground. Here we have our fence. So just go through all the different elements of our scene and name them accordingly, so that you can easily find your way through those surfaces. And you can, use this time also to align all the polygons so that they're all facing in the same direction. And we do have quite a number of surfaces here, but it's going to make texture and surfacing a little bit easier. We have, for each part its own surface, so we can just take care of that. We don't have to go into nodal texturing, and it is a little bit bigger number of surfaces, but it's not too big, and I'm sure we'll find our way quite easily. And the next thing we're going to do is texture the environment, starting from our tombstones. And the preparation process is more or less the same. More or less the same as we had with the jacket body. Just wanted to make sure which part of the tombstone is front, which part of the tombstone is back. Because we want the front, we don't want the seam to be in the front of the tombstone. We want this seam to be in the back of the tombstone. So that's the only thing you should be mindful of while making this seam. And yeah, here we have our UV map, and it's looking pretty good. Just want to align it to be straight, so we can texture it easily. And this is the back of the selection. Now I want to increase the size of this front side. even if it's, you know, overlapping just a little bit, it really doesn't matter. It is kind of a generic rock texture, most of it, so you know, you can even put it like this, but you know, I'm not gonna do that. It's kind of confusing the issue for me where everything is on a tombstone, so I can just, I'm going to leave it like that. And again, we apply the same process of print screen and pasting it into Photoshop and just cropping so we get just the UV space. And checking out the resolution of the texture. Happy with that one. And this is the image that I got from the web. Actually from the CG Textures. Again, a great site, you know, wonderful site for textures. Should definitely become a member, so you can download all these textures in their, you know, biggest sizes. And really, you know, so many textures there and really nicely organized. Now I'm just choosing the best way to see my UV map and to have an exact idea of the texture. And once I'm happy with that, I just did a quick save, named it Tombstone 01 version 001 PSD. And yeah, using Clone Stamp tool, I'm going to extend this texture. And as a practice, I always copy the layer, you know, before I start to apply changes to it, which is what you saw me do there. And in that way, I can always go back, you know, to a version previous to my editing, should I choose, you know, either to blend opacities between the first and this new state, or, you know, unhappy with what I was getting, so I can just start over. It's kind of a safety net there. And now just filling up the rest of this texture. Kind of pose your cross image to fit to our UV map, and then just clone stamp these edges to fill up the rest of it. And as you can see, we have these details going through the middle of our cross, so they're going to look natural and nice once we apply this texture to the model. So that's the kind of thing you should just be mindful of when positioning our reference image. You know, to kind of have the crosses aligned, left side, right side, and stuff like that. And then it's just a matter of clone stamping. And these kind of textures are very, you know, easy to clone stamp. They're, you know, very forgiving to this repetition, and you really don't see the clone stamping. And yeah, once you extend the texture all the way for the front, we should do the same for the back as well. And yeah, these rocky type of textures are, you know, really great to clone stamp. And once we do that, I'm going to save the surface and apply it in the same way that we did for all of the surfaces so far. Let's go to you know, projection UV and select your UV map. And okay, now we see here this is the back of the cross. We should add a bit more color there. And also these edges here, they kind of have these details there which look a little bit unnatural to me. And so we can save this. And yeah, that's pretty good. Now I want to insert this image, of this guy into our tombstone, just to add a little bit of character to it. And it's kind of a circular, setup, which can really nicely fit into our circle on the tombstone. So yeah. The first thing that we want to do is isolate just the part that we need, and that's this circle right here. So just erase everything other than that. Yeah, the quickest way you feel like it's going to be. And yeah, now just to position it, resize it. We want it to fit in our little circle there. And you can see how using this overlay blending option for the UV map, it really makes it practical for us to do things like this. And I'm looking at how to blend this a little bit more into our existing surface. So I'm adjusting a little bit the color balance. Want to add a little bit of yellow to it, and adjust a little bit of saturation. It's kind of a bit too saturated, and you can see the difference here. Between what we had and what's there. And also I'm going to be adding just a little bit of transparency to it. So I want to kind of remove those carving details underneath, so it fits nicely. And again, you see me just duplicating the layers beneath with the layers that I was happy with, just so we can always, go back to it. The one thing that I want to do is kind of make him a little bit more fitting into the world of Nightmare Before Christmas. So I kind of wanted to make it a little bit scully. And this we're going to do by increasing the eye sockets and removing the nose to kind of make it more like a skull, like a skull's nose. And yeah, it's a quick fixes, and it's already looking pretty good. And I was just kind of looking at what I can do with the mouth, maybe make it a little bit bigger. But I don't want it to look too much like Joker's guys from Batman. So I just a little bit of trial and error there. And just cleaning things up a little bit. And yeah, looking pretty good. And once we play a little bit with the opacity as well, it really starts to blend in with our existing surface. And once you're happy with that, save the surface, reload, and there you're going to see if you're really getting the results you wanted. I wanted to adjust a little bit just a little bit more. The image was kind of too bright. And yeah, it's looking pretty good. Very happy with that. Now we're going to take care of the other tombstone, and applying the same process for the other tombstone as well. So create a texture. I named it tombstone 02, and yeah, going to point mode for our make UVs plugin. And again, make sure that you're making the seam on the back side of the tombstone. Do the same thing now that we did for the first tombstone. Again, straightening things out and increasing texture size. Once you're happy with the placement, just print screen and go into Photoshop. I'm just going to paste it here now, so I don't have to open a new image. Let's resize it a little bit to fit with what we have here. And once you're happy with that, delete the other layers that we're not going to be needing. And make sure that you rename this PSD into Tombstone 2. And this is the texture that we're going to use for the Tombstone 2, and that's the ornament that we're going to place there as well. But let's first take care of this texture. Now this texture is already covering, you know, the whole UV area, so we don't have to stencil. And just kind of seeing where our tombstone bottom is in relationship to the UV texture. And I want this kind of end of the texture here, you know, this darker part, to be on the bottom of the tombstone, just so we get that bit more natural feeling, you know, like this a rock which is on the ground and closer to the ground, and kind of changed color due to moisture and water and stuff like that. And for this tombstone, we're going to be using this ornament here. Yeah, just adding a little touch up, you know, just so it kind of breaks up the surface and adds something interesting to it. Just looking at where, you know, these polygons are that I want to place this ornament on. And resizing this, holding shift, will resize it equally on the height and width. And once you're happy with the size, I just take a, you know, eraser brush with the, you know, a little bit more softness, just so it blends in nicely. And then a little bit of color balance change. Just try to get the hue that we have in our image already, and a little bit of brightness and contrast, and a little bit of saturation adjustments. And we can see, you know, it's fitting really nicely. It's fitting really nicely. I'm going to go and save this and apply the surface to the Tombstone 2. And I'm just going to save what we did so far. Okay, so this is what we have, and it's going to go and texture the floor now. And yeah, the easiest way to create this surface is just to use, front projection, and that's it. And the same procedure applies for it as well. Just print screen and crop our UV space, and be happy with the size. You can resize or whatever. I want it to increase to 150. And yeah, what I want to get here is what we see on our reference image there, and that is these lines. And we're going to get that using the bump map. And so I'm drawing these lines much the same way that I did for the suit. And I like that similarity in the process making, which is going to kind of make the whole thing feel also a little bit in balance in the design code, in the same code. And yeah, just going to apply that and see if these are too big, too thin, or what's happening there. And kind of checking it out with the rest of the scenery. And just looking at this area here, I want to be mindful a little bit of where the tombstones are while we are drawing these lines, just to have a little bit of interaction between the ground lines and the tombstones there. And just looking at the best way for blending mode, which to apply, and kind of checking out where these polygons are, where the tombstones are. And just quickly going to kind of draw out their positions there. And yeah, something like that for the other. And once you're happy with those positions, you can continue drawing these lines out. And much the same way as we did for Jack's suit. So I'm just kind of drawing these lines to be centering around a little bit around our tombstones and Jack, so that they're all kind of pointing towards our main character and our main scene elements. And I'm basically using the same technique and trying to achieve almost the same look as we did with the lines on Jack's suit. So I speed this up a little bit for you guys. It's basically the same thing that we did before. Nothing new here. Just kind of drawing these lines to have these interesting shapes and to be going towards the center where the tombstones and the Jack is, and our Jack character. So just filling it up line by line. Now I'm not going all the way to these edges of our UV map, because I want these lines to kind of start from where our turntable meets the ground, so that they are not cut unnaturally. And that's what I'm keeping in the back of my head here. And yeah, this is what we have. And once you're happy with that, save for web and devices. Going to name, replace that ground image that we had. Going to image editor and just reload and see how it looks. And once you see how it looks on the model, you can add necessary adjustments. I felt it could use a bit more lines in this area here, and those areas as well. And by going into image editor, once you're happy and you save your image, and just reload and really quickly see those changes applied to the model. And yeah, going to save this as ground 001. Reload and see how it looks. And I'm just going to make this fence a little bit darker. And yeah, loading everything just to see how it looks. And looking pretty good. Great time to save what we did. Now for this turntable base, I didn't want it to make a texture. I wanted to make a UV map and apply a texture to it. And right now I really speeded up this video because I did decide at the end not to use it, not to use this UV map or the texture. Wasn't really happy how it turned out, but still I wanted it to be there just so you can see that not everything works in a first try, and sometimes in a project you just do something and you're not really happy how it looks, and again, you shouldn't be afraid to just redo that section, which is what I did here. I had an idea for a texture and it didn't really work out. So I didn't go in that direction. As you can see here, I'm applying this kind of marble-like surface to it, and I had this ornament there that I wanted to be. And at the end, I felt it looked a little bit too polished, a little bit too royal for our scene, so to say, and didn't quite feel right in the scene, so I decided to take another direction. And at the end, it didn't look really, it looked pretty good, but it just didn't feel right for our scene. So I canceled that and had another idea how to make this tombstone, feel a lot better in the scene. So before that, I just wanted to flip all the polygons to be facing in the same direction, because I wanted to use a smooth shift. And smooth shift takes into consideration in which direction the normals of the polygons are facing. So whenever you're using smooth shift or any element like that, any tool like that, you should just make sure that all your polygons are facing in the same direction, and then he's going to move them in the same direction. And this is the idea that I had for this turntable bottom. I wanted it to have like a feel like we have on the reference image right there on the right of the screen, and that is you know, to be kind of made of these stone elements. And so I'm just smooth shifting this and adding some subdivisions there, you know, with Benso Pro, just to add a bit of sharpness to it. And adding a little bit of extra sharpness by Benso Proing those polygons as well. The same thing on the other side. But the problem is that smooth shift creates triangles when it smooth shifts certain angles. And once I applied Benso Pro, I got 5-point polygons, which were, you know, really not sub-etching. So I, you know, undo on that and decided to delete those polygons down there, which were responsible for, you know, for smooth shift creating triangles. And yeah, apply the same smooth shift again. And smooth shift is not always working, you know, like completely the same, like you see here. So I had to adjust a little bit the angle there. And I was just thinking, of course, here I'm adding again a bit of thickness there. And while I'm doing this, I'm just thinking, you know, maybe the best thing to do is to create just 1/4 of this circle, and then just copy paste it around. So I'm taking my time, you know, adjusting this to look the way I want it to look. Adjust this here. So smooth shifting and moving them around a bit. And now, once I have this quarter of the circle, I'm just going to delete everything else, making sure that only the polygons that belong to this quarter are there. You don't want to delete. I accidentally deleted there one polygon extra. And delete those as well, clean everything up. And adding extra subdivisions with the knife tool, just to make things a bit sharper and just to break them up a little bit. And then it's just a matter of mirror, mirror, and mirror. And I was a bit too soft on the edges, so decided to add a bit more subdivisions there. And we want to get that natural look, so it's okay that not all the subdivisions are in the same place. And these extra polygons allowed me to add a little bit of jitter to our stones, which is something that's you know, that we've been doing throughout this tutorial. It's a little bit of extra effort, you know, but it really pays off, just to you know, make sure you always break these things up a little bit, break the symmetry, to break the perfectness of the circles. And that does require a little bit of more edge loops there, a little bit more polygons, but it's well worth it. And yeah, we can see the results that we got, and they're pretty good. I was really happy how that turntable turned out. You know, much better than the previous version with the texture. And yeah, go into the texture mode and check out what you have. I was really happy with what I was getting there, with the work we did so far. And that is it as far as texturing is considered. And now we're going to take it up into layout. So I see you in the next session.